We are Gathering of the Geeks, a podcast and YouTube show built around the things we as geeks all love. Hashtag we gather on Sundays. Thank you for checking out the one about poor Dune things. I'm one of your hosts, Emmet, and I'm joined by the Ted Lasso to my coach Beard, Chris Evans. Chris, what's up tonight?
Not much.
That's it. That's all. That's just my overextended and a little out there intro. Just trying to enunciate. Can you ever enunciate things a little extra like that? A little extra?
Sometimes.
You ever do that?
Sometimes. It's a good time. I think it depends on the time. But yeah, it's good. I like it. I like the enunciation. Enunciate.
Yeah, enunciate it all.
It's a good time.
Gathering of the Geeks. Yeah, Gathering of the Geeks. It's available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Just search Gathering of the Geeks and you will find us. Thanks to anyone who watches our show tonight. We are the real winners if that happens. If people watch our show.
I like that.
Not those golden statues, all that kind of stuff. We are the winners when people watch. So anybody who's watching, Phil, Eric, thanks so much for tuning in nice and early on this fine Sunday evening. Chris, what's your policy on the TV show Survivor?
I have not watched a single episode. I actually don't even know what it is.
Holy cow. Not even like way back 20 years ago? I don't believe
I have not watched a single episode of Survivor. For a while, I thought Survivor and Lost were like the same thing.
Like that, though. That's funny.
I mean, they sound similar to me. You're lost or you're a survivor, or maybe you're a surviving lost person. I don't know. Maybe you're Naked and Afraid on Discovery Channel. Who knows?
That's right. Wait a second.
These shows are all the same to me.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like Survivor?
Yeah, so I haven't watched Survivor since maybe season 5, maybe, or way early on. And my wife and I were talking about it the other day. Is that we were wondering, what is even Survivor like now? When a show is 20 years old, there's like this is the newest season it's airing right now. It's still 46th season.
46
Survivor
seasons. What do they do for 46? How
exactly. So that's how I'm
needed?
like, okay, what? Yeah, that's how I'm like, okay, what is this show? So we actually turned on the first season tonight. We just almost finished the first episode, and it's exactly the same. Like, there's nothing different about the show, at least in this first episode, than
is that good or bad?
Any of the previous seasons.
Is that good or bad,
though? We had a good time watching it. It was pretty good. The worst part is the people talking, like all the conniving and the backstabbing and the trying to get people on your side so they don't vote you out. That's annoying. I like the games.
Is Survivor the show where they sit at the end with like tiki torches and it's very tribal?
Yeah, you get get voted out by your team if you lose a challenge earlier in the episode.
Okay. Good to know.
That's really surprising that even 20 year ago Chris didn't watch a single episode of Survivor.
I mean, there was a portion of time where I actually watched no TV series at all. I only watched movies. Not because I hate TV, just that's what I watched. Unless there's like a sitcom like Friends or Everybody Loves Raymond, Will and Grace, stuff like that. I didn't even keep up with them. I was watching the reruns that were syndicated.
Right.
The only TV series I kept up with at that time was like consistent was probably Buffy and Angel. Other than that, if there wasn't a movie, I wasn't really watching it. Now I like TV series. I watch them.
We like TV here.
Yeah, but Survivor, I think, was going to slip through the crack for me either way because I also don't love reality TV.
Right.
And Survivor, I guess now that I understand what the concept is, I kind of. That's not something I would have watched.
Yeah, like in general, I don't like the reality aspect of it as well. Like the people talking and talking about their lives and all the backstabbing. I don't like any of that stuff. I like the games. Like there's challenges and different kind of things throughout it. But it's also funny just to laugh at people. Laugh at real people. These aren't celebrities or anything like that. Like these are just real losers from everyday life that make terrible decisions. They are losers. You should have seen this guy. His name's Jelinski. He's in the first episode.
Oh, I don't like him already.
I've ever seen. Yeah, exactly. He's just some like tall drink of water. Like he's 600 feet tall, and he's so annoying. And that's the as much as I hate the real people aspect of it, it's funny then to laugh at these real people and make jokes on their behalf.
I hear the name Jelinski, and my mind goes to the big guy from what's that? 8-Bit Christmas.
Oh, that guy's name's Jelinski, isn't it?
Something like that.
Oh, I'm gonna look that up. I thought it was.
It says something similar. Also, the comments are having a good time with Phil 1 and Phil 2. We have a dark
Gorski.
There, it's close. You got dark Phil and regular Phil.
Yeah, the two Phils are here. It's crazy. It's well timed.
The multiverse of Phil madness. That doesn't work, but we can pretend it did. You know how we can pretend it did.
Well, we can certainly try.
It worked.
All right, Chris, what'd you get up to this week? Watch anything? Did you read anything?
Before we do that, do you know what looming is?
Looming?
Looming.
Like the big thing where you loom and you put it's like sewing?
Kind of, but with rubber bands and you get a hook.
Yeah, I don't. I
Well,
thought
my
it was
kid
like
taught me
sewing.
how to loom this week because I had a bit of free time. It's like, you want to loom with me? I was like, okay, let's do it.
Loom with me.
Yeah. So I've learned to loom now. So I'm going to be making bracelets on the regular made out of rubber bands.
Nah, you're gonna like shut out all electronics from your life and go to a life of looming now. Like,
that's what I was getting at.
Are you brother Chris? Are you brother Chris now?
So as busy as I've been the last couple of weeks, I feel like that is my new thing because it's calming. I'm just going to be looming in the corner of the house.
Well, what's Chris up to? He had a stressful day at work. He's in the corner of the house looming.
I'm looming.
Looming, yeah.
Which leads me to what I watched and read this week. I read Weapon X-Men #1, which I've been waiting for.
Oh, you did, eh?
I did. So this is the X-Men book where you have the multiverse Wolverines come together to fight something.
Something?
Well, it's my mind just went blank. It's the character that's Magneto's mind and Professor Xavier's mind.
Crazy.
They came together and it made it like a creature. In this story, though, it's actually Jean and Magneto's mind who made Onslaught. So they made Onslaught, and it's the multiverse of Wolverines kind of chasing down that character. And it's kind of funny because Zombie Wolverine is on the team. But Zombie Wolverine is really just funny Wolverine, and he wants brains. And there's actually a panel where Old Man Logan gets frustrated with him and just cuts a piece of his skin off and feeds it to him.
Sweet Jesus.
Oh, it's bizarre. Yeah, it's very, very bizarre. It's kind of it's mostly funny, I think. If it was meant, I don't think this book is meant to be taken seriously because it's really just off the wall with stuff. You have like Age of Apocalypse Wolverine, Old Man Logan, Zombie Wolverine, Jane Howlett, who is a new character, and they just kind of get thrown together. There's there's not much explanation. You just they're together, they're doing stuff.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. I'll read more of it.
Does it feel Krakoan-esque, or does it feel like this is separate?
No, this is its own wacky X-Men thing.
Okay, cool.
So since it exists separately, I will read it because the main Wolverine's not in it, or not yet.
Oh, so there's not even the main line Wolverine in this one.
No, it's all the variant types.
Fair.
So it's an interesting thing not to have the main one in there. You also have like a different Jean Grey or two different Magnetos. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I'll read it, more of it. But that's actually all I read. I didn't get to anything else. Not because I didn't want to, I just didn't have the time or mental capacity to process it. I really wanted to read that Batman book.
Oh,
the Dan Jurgens one.
Yeah, the Batman First Night.
What did you read? I know you read that, but
yeah, I did read that. I read that a little while ago. It's not for me. The art style, I'd have to do a little warming up to it, which is fine. But kind of that old timey Batman is not my favorite Batman. the one where he feels like he's in the 1930s, like straight up.
Oh, like the noir Batman.
Yeah, like that. That's not really my thing, in general.
I like
but
that.
yeah, I really don't. Yeah, and a lot of people do. It's kind of got a cool appeal, and they've done other books like that before,
Mm-hmm.
if I recall. And even like the animated series feels like it's, in an unknown time. Like the cops are always dressed up like old timey cops and all that kind of stuff, and the cop cars look like they're old timey cop cars.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a new idea, but yeah, just wasn't for me with the type of Batman that I was looking for, in general. But I have a feeling that you might like it. I know you were kind of iffy on the art as well from the cover.
Yeah.
I felt like, yeah, just a little bit too much going on with the art. Very busy on a lot of pages.
Well, I think Jurgen's books, Jurgen's books in general can be hit or miss for me. So I don't know if I'm going to like it, but I like the idea of it. And
Sure.
the art may not hit for me, but sometimes I can deal with the art. I can pass it. Like recently with Dracula, there's been other cases where I've gotten past the art, but then sometimes it's just such an eyesore I can't do it.
Yeah, sometimes it's just
like,
too much.
I stopped reading Harley Quinn because I just couldn't do it.
Oh yeah, that kind of
Riley something. Not for me. Eric also caught up with Avengers Twilight. I see what the hype is about. Yes, I love spreading the word about this book. Anybody I know who reads comics, I've talked to them about this book. It's a delight.
It's a good one.
What else did you read?
Nothing else. Well, I read a couple of things new, but they're not really. You would mention that Night People #1 to me, and I read that. It was okay. Not really my thing. Like I thought it would be my thing. Kind of the vampire aspect to it a little bit.
Is that what it is?
But yeah, there's a little bit of vampires happening in there.
I saw the cover.
So, yeah,
I like the title.
Yeah, I know. I figured. Yeah, so that just it was okay, but didn't really grab me. The Devil That Wears My Face #5 was out last week as well. I read that one. It's good again, but still carrying on from, I think, the maybe last issue or even the issue before that, just kind of in middle ground. This one's got a couple of good splash pages on it in taking it back to its horror roots, which is good, which is what I like from this book specifically. So it's okay. And there's only one more after this one. Issue #6, I believe, is the last issue, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
So there's that. Yeah, and the only other thing I read was a kind of an older book was Spider-Man, Spider's Shadow. I sent you a picture from it today. It's got some X-Men in it with some kind of funky costumes.
Oh, that's what you're reading. Okay,
that's what it's from.
Wasn't Spider Shadow a big deal?
I don't know if it was. I assume so. It was written by Chip Zdarsky around the same time that his Spider-Man life story came out, which I know that was a big deal. Yeah, so it's just about Peter if he doesn't take the symbiote suit off, like, and what happens directly after the events that would have happened in the regular comics. It doesn't go to Eddie Brock, and what happens to his suit, and a lot of evil things happen to Peter Parker and Spider-Man when he doesn't take that suit off. Apparently, a lot of horrible things happen to a lot of heroes in the Marvel universe, which I was quite surprised by. Yeah, a lot of wild things.
I think I wanted to read this when it came out, but again, I didn't get to it.
Yeah, it's got some Fantastic Four in it for a bit. Captain America and Peter always have a good time when they're chatting together. Yeah, so it was good. I like the writing. I like the story. In general, Marvel art isn't my favorite. I feel like that's kind of a very blanket statement. But a lot of Marvel art usually doesn't stand out for me, with some rare ones that do hit, but this one feels very Marvel. Like anytime I picked up a Krakoan X-Men book, I felt like they all kind of look the same. Nothing really stood out to me. So I feel like Marvel has a style.
Well, I mean,
for the readers,
with the Krakoan books in particular, they're trying to cram so many characters in those books that I think they kind of lose the magic of it. It's like, just draw a blob with some eyes and we'll call it Wolverine.
Sure.
I think that's the approach with that. But Marvel's stable of artists, they vary a lot more than DC's, I think. because I feel like DC is more uniform with the art. Not saying that it all looks the same, but it all carries the same like level of quality, I think. Whereas Marvel, you get what you get sometimes.
Sure.
In the case like what you showed me from the Spider Shadow book, I don't like that. It's not.
Yeah,
for
like
me.
there's some other shots of like MJ and her face just looks like it's very distorted in certain ways, and just the lines on it just weren't for me. But the story was very interesting. It took a lot of weird turns, a lot of different things, and it ended on a certain way where there could have been it could be a sequel, which I think would be interesting. In that idea, reading what if stories or Elseworld stories or one offs like Avengers Twilight. Those are the kind of Marvel books for me. So I'm glad I finally got around to reading this, because I was such a big fan of Zdarsky's life story, Spider-Man life story.
I love life story.
Yeah, and maybe kind of want to go back and read the Fantastic Four one that came out not too long ago as well.
I have some of it, and I tried reading it, but I think I just don't care about the Fantastic Four.
Sure.
I think that's what it is. I just don't like, unless it's the Tim Story movies, those two. Because those are fun to me. I don't know. I'm looking forward to the new movie, of course. But as far as like Fantastic Four and comics, I don't think they're my thing.
Yeah, I have no experience with the Fantastic Four, other than I haven't seen the older ones you were talking about. I've only seen the Miles Teller one. That's the only Fantastic Four movie I've seen. So, I don't think they had a cartoon when we were kids. Fantastic Four.
No, they did. It just wasn't as popular.
Oh, okay. So I only know them kind of in side characters in Spider-Man stories or X-Men stories or anything like that.
Yes, I didn't watch that animated series either. I didn't know it was a thing until later on. I just kind of missed the boat on that one. But did you like the Miles Teller?
I don't remember if I did or not. I don't think it stood out for me enough to care. I didn't think it was horrible. Like, I'm not sitting here today, it's the worst piece of trash ever. But I don't think it made a mark on me, and I don't see any point to going back to it now. Obviously, we're gonna have that new one out in a few years, so I'll just start with that, I guess.
The only thing I remember from it is the ending. Reed says something like, "I wonder what we should call ourselves."
Yeah, what's he say? Say that
That's
again.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Say that again.
Yeah.
Bill says I think the new cast is spot on for the new film. Yeah, I mostly like the new cast.
I was going to say, I mostly do too.
I mostly like them. My issue is kind of Pedro Pascal, which is weird because I love Pedro Pascal. I'm just having a really hard time picturing him as Reed. Yeah. Especially with the age gap between him and the other characters. I'm just having a hard time. But he's great, so I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah, I don't care about the Pedro one or the Johnny Storm one. He's the kid from Stranger Things.
Well, he's not really
in Stranger Things.
I think he's like 40.
He's not a kid, but yeah, he's a kid in Stranger Things, I guess. So, yeah. But then I like what's his name? Who's playing the thing?
Eben Moss something.
And, big long name for him, guy from The Bear. And then I like Vanessa Kirby as Sue for sure.
Well, the Eben Moss something. He was also in the Punisher series.
Oh, interesting.
He was a Punisher sidekick.
Sounds good.
Right sidekick, yeah. Phil says Dan Slott surprisingly has a fun Fantastic Four book. I have heard that actually. I've had people tell me if I want to try Fantastic Four, try the Dan Slott run. There's two animated series? I knew the one. Because there was also a Iron Man series, I think, and a Hulk series.
Yeah, I
didn't watch any of
Disney
these.
Plus, I think.
Yeah, I didn't watch any of those. I'd only seen Spider-Man and X-Men, of course. I didn't even know that there was like Spider-Man spin-offs.
Like, what do you mean, from the animated series?
Yeah, because there's that one where he leaves Earth and he's like on another planet or something.
Don't know that one. Wild Crazy Times.
I think they're all on Disney Plus. They have the rights to everything, so they're on there. Or they should be. I don't know.
I would hope so.
Yeah, be surprised.
Yep.
All the X-Men movies are on there except Days of Future Past.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why.
That's strange.
It's something. Oh, there it is. Spider-Man Unlimited. That's what it's called. It's the alternate universe with the suit made by Reed Richards.
That sounds all right.
It's something. Keep the Spider-Man going.
Yeah, so that's all I read this week. Next week has some really good books, actually. Ultimate Black Panther #2, Avengers Twilight 4.
That was quick.
Fish Flies #5, The One Hand #2 that I want to get to. Yeah, so there's a couple of good ones next week. Not much for me this week. I didn't read the new Batman. I forget which it was, 146, 136, 145.
Yeah.
Haven't got around to that yet, just to see what the hell. Well, I know. I just, yeah, I'm interested to see what you think after Joker Year One. If you're gonna keep interested in the Zdarsky failsafe,
I probably will. I kind of like the failsafe thing.
Sure.
I really don't mind it. I believe Avengers Twilight is in. I don't think it's limited, is it?
Yeah, there's this one, which is 4, and then I'm pretty sure 5 is the last one.
Oh, is that it? I thought it was going to be longer.
6th. The end has come. Yep.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a long.
Well, that's in May 29th. Yeah, 6-issue series. That's it.
It's a good time.
It's a great time.
Yeah, I'm glad that I checked it out.
Mm-hmm. As am I. So then I would check it out.
I'm sure issue 4 will be fantastic. Is issue 4 got the Fantastic Four in it?
I don't think so, but the cover has Thor on it.
Oh, is that the Thor?
I think
cover?
Eric's just a funny guy.
I would love to have all the Alex Ross covers as posters for this series.
Oh yes, so
they
good.
Are beautiful.
Yeah, Thor's on the next one, and then this new Hawkeye.
Yeah, the new Hawkeye. I think it's Kate.
Someone else. You haven't read the last issue yet.
Okay, I will get to it.
And then the Hulk is on the last issue.
Hulk smash.
Oh, indeedy. All right.
Hulk in book.
So pretty small reads for us this week. So what'd you watch, Chris? And then maybe avoid the. I guess we did. Did you talk about Dune 2 last week?
I might have done it briefly because I know you didn't see it again. Plus, I don't want to talk spoilers just yet because there's still some people who haven't seen it.
Okay, we will avoid spoilers for Dune 2 later on. So
the major spoilers.
The Optimus Prime cameo, right?
No, everybody knows that's in there. I finally watched Vampire's Kiss with Nicolas Cage.
See, Eric will back me up in the comments here. Okay, your most used GIF is from this movie. Okay, yeah. And to my surprise, hearing that you hadn't seen the movie before was mind-blowing to me. But here you go. Have at it. Explain this movie, please.
It's basically American Psycho with vampire elements. That's really what it is.
Fair.
And it's fun. I think it's a great time. Nicolas Cage is like a meme for almost 2 hours straight. The movie is like I was talking to somebody. I said this is like an unhinged meme for 2 hours. And it's just so much fun. And it's the story itself is wacky. Like it's something special. I didn't know that going into it.
Oh, okay.
I knew what the movie was, but I didn't know the twist to it exactly. And I tried to watch it years ago. I only saw 10 minutes of it, and I had to turn it off. I forgot why, and I just didn't go back to it. And then I was kind of scrolling. It was on Prime or something. It was on Prime. I was like, well, tonight's the night, because I was looking at schlocky vampire movies anyway.
Ah, yes.
This is something I do. Like, what crap do I want to watch tonight? And I picked that one. It was a good time. I was shocked.
Shocking.
Eric says, now I'm picturing a team up with Cage and Bale. I don't know what would happen. Like Patrick Bateman and in Cage's character, I don't know what that would be like.
Yeah.
It's very similar, though. It really is.
That seems wild that that's similar in some way, shape, or form.
Oh, I thought you've seen it.
Vampire's Kiss?
Yeah.
No, sir.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's
no.
Like you pick it up right away. Oh, this is close.
I can. That's so funny.
Yeah, I wonder if it, because I don't know when the book was written, the American Psycho book was written. I wonder if this was kind of, hey, that's a cool idea. Let's do it this way. They're
Oh
that
yeah.
similar.
Hmm.
And like I said,
Great.
he's so unhinged. It's a blast.
Yeah, well, I can imagine like if the everything that I know about this movie, which is just that GIF, that's enough.
He
That's enough.
speaks in a different voice. Like he has a fake accent for most of it. I can't even imitate the. It's just special. I'll send you a clip later.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, I'll send you a clip from where the GIF is from.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I watched that. That was a good time.
Mm-hmm.
I also rewatched X-Men 2, X-Men United.
Mm.
I'm on a really big X-Men high right now.
Why? Because of the Deadpool 2 trailer?
No, the series is in 10 days.
Oh, X-Men 97,
Yeah,
yeah.
X-Men 97 is in 10 days, so I am on a gigantic X-Men high. I watched X2, and I had on the X-Men animated series while I was reading Weapon X-Men. So I was mutating.
Yeah, that's right.
But X-Men 2 has held up so well over the years. And you would think that, okay, well, it's dated, it's got dated effects and whatnot, and it's probably not as good. It's still amazing. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
I think it holds up with the best of the comic book genre that we have today.
Hmm.
I don't even have really a complaint on it, like some kind of criticism. The one thing I will say is Cyclops isn't in it for most of the movie, and that was weird.
Hmm.
But it doesn't affect the narrative. That's just something I would have liked to have seen with Cyclops.
Mm-hmm. I always loved the finale, the climax of that movie. So very good.
Like the whole the spillway
Like,
thing, and then
yeah, they were in Alkali Lake and the Gene thing. Like I remember, like that was that, and like now that you mention it, like that and like the Dark Knight, the ending of either of those two is. I remember that like I went to both of those movies with the same person. I just remember like when that Phoenix was in the water, like the silhouette or whatever it is, the flame. Like man, that's so awesome.
it
Like it
was.
had such a great ending.
And it's especially because at the time the X-Men weren't. I mean, they were well known, of course, but there were still plenty of people who had no idea what they were looking at.
Mm-hmm.
But the fans who knew was like, "This is amazing."
Yeah.
I remember being in the theater just like in awe, like they're doing the Phoenix next.
Yeah.
And then Brett Ratner happens.
Yeah. I just remember like the Phoenix saga from the animated series and be like, oh, like now I get to see that in live action. When just the promise of X-Men 2 was so good, and like it has so many other things. Like Brian Cox is so great, as Brian Cox is
one of the best comic book villains.
Yeah, and that I think that's an overlooked. He's overlooked for sure. I think whenever you mention comic book villains.
Yeah, because he's not super powered. He's just a regular guy, and he really doesn't do much in the movie except yell or speak very softly and creepy.
That's Brian Cox to a T right there.
Right. It's like watching Logan Roy he is a villain, but like watching Logan Roy in a comic book movie. He was just 1 minute away from shouting "Bore" on the floor. But he's really, really good in it. All the cast is great. And those movies were, I would say, at least the first two were cast very well. The other ones can go up for debate. Like Vinnie Jones' Juggernaut is never going to sit well with me.
Sure.
But for the most part,
pretend Last Stand doesn't exist most of the time.
I don't mind it. Like when I rewatched it recently, it wasn't bad. But not as bad as I remembered anyway. So X2 is fun. I like revisiting it. It's also kind of interesting when you watch and you think this was before comic book movies were more accepted in a way. So they had to wear these black leather outfits. Everything had to be dumbed down, like really realistic, because we couldn't say certain things, couldn't do certain things. And of course, the director did not want comics to be on the sets and whatnot. So
yes,
it's an interesting watch, but it's a very good one.
Yeah, it was like the fight between Wolverine and what's her name,
Lady Deathstrike.
Yeah, Lady Deathstrike. That was so cool.
I like how brutal it was. Like they didn't hold back in that fight. They let them just rip each other to shreds.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. But like, there's blood. There's all of the good stuff that you don't see in PG-13 Marvel movies aside from
No,
what's upcoming. But it feels very different. That X-Men movie compared to even Infinity War or anything. They have a different feel to them. The older X-Men movies.
this might be a weird way to describe them, but they feel more like, I don't know, like they're trying to do something different, like more of a cinematic. This is not a comic book movie, which I guess is what they wanted. This is something more than a comic book movie, but it still is a comic book movie. Kind of like what Nolan did, I guess. Same kind of a thing. Because you could probably have, I don't know. This is a movie where you can watch it and you don't even really know it's a comic book movie. You just know it's an action movie. There's a difference, I think.
Sure.
Eric likes Fraser's Beast. Yes, I was going to call his real name Kelsey Grammer. I also like Kelsey Grammer's Beast. It's probably the best, one of the best things about X3.
I would agree with that.
He's fun. So yeah, I watched the movie. I watched the cartoon, and I watched half of the new Mean Girls movie.
I was waiting for more X-Men. He just threw me in left field with the Mean Girls movie.
It's what we do.
I watched X-Men, the TV show, and Mean Girls. Oh, okay.
I had a full week. I had a vampire movie. I had comic book stuff, and then I watched some of Mean Girls. And it's a musical, so there's that too.
On purpose, you watched some of it?
I was too tired. I kind of just passed out.
Okay.
I couldn't comprehend what was going on. I was like, this is not for me right now.
I couldn't comprehend what I was watching.
And it's, from what I saw the first hour, it's like a shot-for-shot remake almost. The same dialogue too. Like, I thought they would at least change some of the dialogue. They don't. A lot of it is identical.
Just with musical performance thrown in every once in a while.
Here and there. And the way the musical performances work they're in the characters' heads. Like there aren't. It's not like Grease where everybody just starts dancing and singing. It's in the characters' heads, from what I could tell.
Okay.
So that's interesting. I'll finish it later, but shot for shot remake, pretty much.
Interesting.
There's only a couple differences I've noticed so far. But I'll finish it later.
Yeah, probably won't get to it, but that's all right.
I also started Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that was surprisingly really entertaining.
Good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to finishing that and seeing all the other cameos you were talking about. Because that first set threw me off.
Yeah, I was going to say the first episode within the first 10 seconds, yeah.
Like, well, why are they not in the rest of this thing?
Yep.
I like both of them. Also, the violence in that one was nuts.
Yeah,
when the bullet goes through the face.
Right through his face.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
This is television. But
gotta love Amazon.
Amazon does what they want. So that's my watches for the week. I guess I watched more than I thought I did.
That's good. I didn't watch anything else, really. I don't think I watched any TV this week. I honestly have no idea what I did this week. I went to Dune on Monday.
Nice.
And then I should have watched something else. I can't think of it now. Oh, I said I was going to watch something after Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and I might have done that. I don't know. It's gonna kill me by the time the show's over, because I'm gonna go into my queue and there'll be something to watch that I won't talk about. But so I saw Dune 2 on Monday. That's that.
You have a queue?
No, like if you go into like an app that you opened and it's got the queue of what you watched.
Okay.
Episode. I'm gonna go and there's gonna be like watch episode 4, watch episode 5.
Young children.
Yeah, I watched that today actually.
Okay.
Still a lot of fun. They're back from Germany. Shit, I don't know what I freaking watched this week. Dune 2. It doesn't matter. So yeah, I watched Dune 2 on Monday and then Poor Things yesterday. I watched Poor Things with my wife and then I watched Dune 2 with a friend of mine. Chris, where do you want to start out of these two?
Let's do Poor Things last because we go full spoilers.
We can go full spoilers on Dune 2. Okay, or on Poor Things. Okay.
Yeah, I think if you've seen it, you've seen it. If not, you're probably not going to.
I would agree with that. Okay, Yeah, and yeah, even if you know about it, I'm still not sure. Okay, so Dune 2, the greatest movie ever invented, and
The
I'm
only
surprised they're
movie.
doing the Oscars tonight, and they just didn't bother giving, skipping it and just giving it to Dune 2 this time and at the next Oscars. So, Chris, what did you think about Dune 2?
10 out of 10. Flawless. Flawless victory.
Flawless victory.
I love Dune 2. I really want a cut of Dune 1 and Dune 2 spliced together. I will sit there for the entire 5-hour film.
I was thinking about that too, and it made me think about it and it too. I'm like, oh, come on, dude, just put the two damn movies together.
Why don't they do these things?
I don't know.
Like, and Kill Bill's in that category too. Put them together. We want to watch it as one. But Dune Part 2, I thought was absolutely stellar. Loved it.
I liked it too. My problem with Dune 2 is the story of Dune. The books, the source material, the actual story of Dune. I don't like it. I don't like the Messiah aspect. I don't like the interplanetary government aspect of it. I don't like the Paul character in from Dune. But what I do like about Dune 2 is all of the actors who are absolutely incredible. Literally every single person who is acting in the movie. Timmy is good. Okay. I dislike Timothée Chalamet beyond belief, but he does a good job as Paul. He from what I've seen him in, which is Dune and Wonka, and something else, I'm sure. Can't think of it right now.
Interstellar.
This is the one where what's that?
Interstellar.
Yeah, that's right. It's some little kid. Timmy does more acting in Dune 2 than he's done from what I've seen before, even in Dune, the first one. He just, everything is a little bit higher for him. He does a lot of screaming and yelling, but that's okay. Maybe a little bit too much for me. But I thought Zendaya was very Z-Dog. I thought Z-Dog was very good. Rebecca Ferguson was good. Everyone was good. The acting is incredible all across the board, and it helps that literally every person that has screen time is an amazing actor. Every person they have, like what's her name? I don't know how to pronounce her name. Leah Seydoux.
Oh yeah,
she's on the screen for 4 minutes, and she's awesome. Which is fine. I thought the action was very good. Also my theater might have been the loudest theater in all of existence. It was almost beyond how loud everything was.
What format did you watch it in?
I don't know, whatever format.
Just regular standard.
Yeah, just a movie theater. I don't know.
Okay.
So I thought the action was very good. The stuff with the sandworms and the final fight, and then also the battle that comes before it, I thought was outstanding. I thought the visual effects and how the movie looked were great. And that's the thing about Denis Villeneuve movies. Even if you don't like Blade Runner 2049, it looks incredible. Sicario looks good. Arrival looks good. Dune and Dune Part 2, they both look good. He makes good movies, and he has people working with him who make good movies. Aside from that, that's pretty much it. It's just the story that I can't get behind. The idea of Paul and the Emperor and the Messiah and the Fremen and the Harkonnens and all. I said, I liked all of the actors and everything, but there's all of the characters and who they are and what they're trying to do, and what are the witch people called? The
Bene Gesserit or something.
The Bene Gesserits. And
I still
the
can't pronounce it.
Yeah, the Reverend Mothers and all this kind of stuff, and the life water and all of this. As much as I love science fiction stuff, and I do, but some of the science fiction stuff in Dune I do not like, and then the governmental aspect and the religious aspects of Dune, and just didn't do it for me. But that's a Dune problem. That's not a Dune Part 2 problem. That's not a Denis Villeneuve problem. That's a what's his name, James Herbert problem.
Okay. I'm a little confused though. So you enjoy the movie, but you do not enjoy the movie's story or the concepts in the movie.
Well, yeah, the concepts are really hard for me to get behind, for sure.
So it's just
And
the action and performances.
well, everything else that a movie is, like their story is one of those things. They gave her, awards for those screenplays and all that kind of stuff. That stuff's no good, but the acting, the directing, the cinematography, the sound, the editing, the visuals, all of that stuff is great.
I don't know if I've ever seen a movie where I don't like the story, but I like the movie.
Sure.
I probably have, but okay, that's an interesting way to look at it, though.
I wonder about the back-to-back watching as well. I wonder about watching Dune 1 and then seeing the carry on. Like, obviously in the first Dune, there's no emperor. In the first Dune, there's not the whatever the Harkonnens planet is, the one with the black sun.
Yeah,
I don't forget what it's called.
There's also no Austin Butler.
Exactly. There's no Florence Pugh, and there's no Leah Seydoux. So, like, I wonder about the watching them from 1 to 2, because it felt like 1 is its own thing. It could have been its own thing. They could have left it at that. And then Dune 2 is the complete opposite of that. It feels like, too. It feels like there's so much more to tell after Dune Part 2 than there was after Dune Part 1.
Well, I know these comparisons have been running wild, but to me, it really is a lot like Star Wars.
100%.
And even some of the themes, like you do have the political theme in Star Wars. You do have the kind of religious theme in Star Wars. And I want to compare Paul to Anakin.
Well, that's the funny thing. Like the character, like in Paul, is Jesus, the Messiah. Anakin, Luke, they're a savior of some kind. So it's not a new idea as well. The idea of the Messiah and the religious things and everything. But one of the things like Star Wars, I felt like they're not hitting you over the head with it. Like in Dune Part 2, they slam the Messiah down your throat in almost every scene that you see. Specifically those early ones with the Fremen, where they're, Javier Bardem is
as it was written.
Give it a rest, man.
Javier Bardem's character could be swapped for Yoda. Just saying.
Yeah, sure.
I think there's something there. He is Yoda. Stilgar is Yoda. I don't think he'd be Ben Kenobi. He's probably Yoda.
Yeah, Gurney feels like more like Ben Kenobi.
Yeah, Gurney is the Ben. Stilgar is that. He's the Yoda.
Yeah.
As it was written.
As it was written.
But I think Dune is kind of... I want to say it's like a more mature Star Wars. I know that's a weird thing to say. And I don't mean that like Star Wars is kiddie. That's not what I mean at all. It's just, it's a different theme. It's a different vibe to it, I guess. It's not and I like it a lot. I'm very curious if and when the third happens, what the reaction to it will be. And is it going to go darker? Or because it seemed like it's about to get very dark at the end of 2.
Well, that's the other thing I was thinking about, this idea of hope in the movie as well.
Yeah.
Like we end the movie and there is no hope. There is nothing to feel good about. Nothing.
It's very bleak, even though
very much so. Technically,
it's a good ending, but
it's not.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
It's no like
it's hard to get behind Paul. I'll tell you that much.
That's what I say. Yeah,
for Paul right now.
Yeah, it's kind of a gray area right now, I guess. I mean, he's not pulling out a lightsaber on kids, though. Well,
if the kids don't come with him, yes, they will.
I guess that's true. I guess that is, yeah. Paul and Anakin.
So that was, and that I don't know much about the Dune story, but that was one thing that really surprised me was the ending. Like not like the last 5 minutes of the movie.
Me too.
They're going there.
Did not expect that.
Yeah, and like I said, they ended Dune 1 where you could have been okay with, like, that's fine, that's the end of the movie. But then Dune 2, it feels like, okay, well, we need this other one right now because there's a lot that's going on right now. Like, where are these people going and what are they doing and why are they doing it? It's just, yeah.
I didn't really feel like the first one, like, yes, I could have just had the first one have been fine, but the ending, I wanted more. Like, to me, that was more of a cliffhanger.
Well, they teased him riding on or the sandworm or whatever. So
Yeah, Dune 1 has like a cliffhanger ending, in my opinion.
hmm.
Dune 2 feels complete, but at the same time, I'm not satisfied because
Hmm.
I want to see where we go. I have to see where we go now. I guess they got the
Mhm.
hook in you. That's what it is.
They got the hook in the proverbial sandworm.
Right, we are Shia Halud. That's what it is. They've got the
Mhm.
hook in you. You want to see the Messiah story, or I think that's what it's called, Dune Messiah. I could be wrong.
Yeah, the third one's called Messiah. Yeah.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, Eric in the comments has read the books.
Hmm.
So, um, how many books are there? Because I wanted to look it up, but I didn't want to get spoiled with
Yeah.
something.
So I think Herbert Senior wrote 3 or 4, and then his son wrote more after that. So I feel like there's
There's a
6 or
lot of
8 of them.
Dune.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a lot of Dune.
Yippers. Yeah, and like in if from what I understand, 3 Messiah is the ending of a certain story, and then the next one is the start of a new story with characters that we would have seen in Messiah.
There's also multiple series.
Yes.
Okay. Eric has seen 84 film, the sci-fi miniseries. Yeah, I wanted. I'm very curious about the series that was on sci-fi, but I know I will never get to it, so I'm not even going to attempt it.
I wouldn't bother as far as
I'm
I
going
can
to watch the
if
84
I could
film.
understand. Good luck.
Yeah, I need to watch it. I saw a clip of it. I think I told you.
Mm-hmm.
The clip is when Gurney is training Paul, and he turns on the shield, and they just become blocks.
Yep.
I have to see that.
I'm really interested to see what your thoughts are of the things that you don't see in Dune Part 2 that you see in 84 Dune.
Yeah, well, I think I'm gonna get to it this week.
Yeah, I look forward to that.
I also want to go see Dune 2 again, so I may just have Dune week.
Yeah, so also I will say the exact same thing. When I saw Dune Part 1 in theaters, I did not like it. I didn't like most of any of it. I didn't like the action scenes. I didn't like any of the acting. I didn't like much of it. Once I got home and watched it a couple of times there, I learned to love it much more. I like Dune Part 1 better than I like Dune Part 2 right now. I assume if I keep watching Dune Part 2 and then watch them in a series, I'm hoping that the story of Paul, whatever is happening to Lady Jessica, all the Fremen, all that kind of stuff, I'm hoping that it becomes better for me. Because I'm pretty sure it will. I love having a rewatch always helps me. But I can assume that by the time I rewatch this, 1 or 2 more times, that I'll like a lot more than I do now. With that saying, that I do like this movie. There is a lot of good in this movie. That's for sure.
I would, it might be fun to watch the first one at home and then go to the theater right afterward.
Mm-hmm.
I think
like
that's as close as you're
go right out again right after.
Yeah,
That would be cool.
That is the closest that we can get to back right now.
Mm-hmm.
Although I think some theaters might still be showing Dune 1 as part of that IMAX special thing that they were doing.
Oh yeah, sure. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, but I'd already seen Dune 1 recently, so I don't know if I need to do it again. Dune it again. I don't know. We'll see.
Yippee.
Now, Poor Things, I have raved about for months, so I think everybody's tired of hearing me rave about it.
You're the one, yeah. You're the every time. I think you have it like notifications on Twitter that anytime tweets about it, like you just like the bat signal gets lit up and shown at your house, like Batman Returns.
I think that's
people talking about Poor Things.
That's what's happening. I'm a champion of Poor Things. What did you think about it?
So a lot like Dune Part 2, the acting, the visuals, the sound, outstanding stuff. Like Willem Dafoe, who's like, he may look like a freak in the movie, but he acts less like a freak in this movie than a lot of other movies that he's done. He's basically a normal person, aside from the one thing where he's burping gas out of his mouth or whatever. But he acts different the way he looks, which I thought was quite interesting. Mark Ruffalo, didn't see that kind of characterization of Mark Ruffalo ever in my life. He's most of the time, from what I've seen, he's pretty, again, a straight and narrow kind of guy. Like he plays journalists in Spotlight, he plays cops in Zodiac, or he plays Bruce Banner. He's pretty a normal kind of person. Seeing him as a unhinged lunatic, I don't know how to best describe him, was quite interesting. And that might have been the biggest surprise of the movie, and acting wise, was Mark Ruffalo.
For me too.
Yeah, very, very interesting. And it's something I wasn't expecting either. That was the other thing. I didn't watch a trailer for this movie. I didn't see a single thing. I barely knew what it was called. You said it was called, or you described it as me as what happens if Frankenstein gets let out of the castle and gets to do his own thing. I'm like, okay, let's go for it. So yeah, I didn't really know what to expect from Mark Ruffalo. I barely remember that he was in the movie until he showed up and started doing his lunatical things. So that was great. Emma Stone is not someone, I think we've talked about this before. She's not one of my, when I think about my favorite actresses, she is not one that I think about. But when you look at everything that she's done is incredible. Like her list on IMDb is outstanding, and she's
pretty good.
Always, yeah, like in every movie that she does, she always does her best or does the best of people on screen. So she was great. I also like the progression of her character and the way she has to act, which is something you don't often see in people. You do see a story arc, but you don't see a physical arc or I don't know, just act differently as the movie goes along.
It's a journey, I think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Especially because technically the character grows up from the first frame you see her in to the final. She's growing up.
Yep. So Emma Stone is great. The visuals are awesome. Like when they're in Lisbon, and even like the steampunky, futuristic nature of this old timey world with its trains and boats and air trams, all that kind of stuff. I thought was kind of cool and fun. And like the visuals, the colors, which I thought was kind of, it's like, it felt a little bit like Wizard of Oz in a certain sense. This is Dorothy being, she lands in Oz and all of a sudden the colors are there. And the colors are accentuated and pop off the screen more regular than regular colors would. But then if we've seen the first, 30 minutes, 45 minutes of the movie and it's black and white, obviously those colors are going to pop some more. So I thought it looks incredible. The story, again, I wish the story was more serious all the way through. Particularly when she comes back to England because God is dying, and she gets taken away again, right when she's getting married, and the story really starts to deviate from the funny and the goofy and the weird, and gets into very serious, like all of a sudden. And I thought to myself, well, I wonder what that would have been like all the way through, if Mark Ruffalo's character wasn't ridiculous, if they weren't humping like rabbits nonstop, if the people she met along the way weren't, eccentric characters as well. And even during the start when she's like learning to walk and she's peeing on the floor and Willem Dafoe's burping out gas and kind of stuff, like there's the weird comedy bits. But I wonder what it would have been like if they was serious all the way through. If there was a more serious nature to it. So it's not a slight on the movie, but it feels like the movie was just, and maybe it could have been a purposeful thing, but a little up and down with that weird comedy, with what's supposed to be funny and with if it's a serious moment. But I guess it's how Bella was reacting to those instances as well. If she didn't think it was scary, she's okay with what's his name throwing what's her name off the edge of the boat. It's funny, so those kind of things.
Almost punch that baby.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought I was like, man, I was hoping she was going to punch that baby.
That would have been funny.
So that would have been funny. But yeah, so just the up and down of the story between its weird comedy and then very serious nature of, who Bella is and who was Veronica before Bella and that kind of stuff. Like, because it gets very serious with who Veronica was and what happened to Veronica. I'm like, this guy's, a masochist, psychopath all of a sudden. So I wondered if they made more of a straight line with her life was in serious danger or these things that are happening to her are very serious rather than kind of going on an up and down roller coaster, as it were. But it's quite the movie, Chris. And you told me that I should have an open mind. And I tried to, but then even going into it, there were things that I wasn't expecting. Like as I was watching the movie, I'm like, okay, like I kind of understand, but then there's just so much sex and just so much nudity that I wasn't expecting as well, which kind of yeah, it's like all of a sudden, like there's nonstop sex, but then the sex is also integral to the story as well.
It's
It's a very interesting movie, that's for sure.
It's not. See, I think it kind of. A lot of people would say it's gratuitous, but I don't think it is because
I wouldn't
it's
think so.
part of the story. Did we need to see all of it in graphic detail? Maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it's all there's a meaning to it. There's a point to it. It's not
Mm-hmm.
just here's this, you know. But I did not expect the amount of it. I will say that I knew that it had some stuff in there, but I didn't expect that.
Mm.
Um, but it's interesting. I hadn't thought about what if it was a serious movie because it's really
Mm.
not. It's a comedy. It's very quirky, and it's meant to be weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like even the
It
look of
doesn't hide
things.
the fact that it's supposed to be weird either.
It like
Like,
when
as soon as you see Willem Dafoe's character, he's unhooking a thing from his gut and burping out gas. You're seeing
mhm,
a dog with a duck head. Like they hit you right over the top with, okay, this is a weird ass movie
they
with
set the
weird ass
tone.
things in it. Yeah, 100%. So then it kind of goes up and down with it a little bit. So yeah, I don't know.
Even like the when we see her outside the house and the way these areas look, they're
Mm-hmm.
not normal looking places. Even though they're in Paris and it looks different.
Yeah.
So I like the style choices that they made it, but I never thought of it, what if it was serious. I guess if it was more of a serious movie, you would have more of like a Frankenstein story than it already is.
Sure. Yeah, and like we've already had that story, so I understand it for sure.
Yeah, and maybe it wouldn't hit as well if it were serious because I think if you were to take all of this very seriously, it is a very dark story and a very
Mm-hmm.
sad story.
Mm-hmm.
If you take away the humor, well, the like I said, the Veronica character is it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
She'd rather kill herself than give birth
Mm-hmm.
to the because she hates her husband so much. That's really sad.
Yep.
And then Willem Dafoe just finds and has the bright idea. Hey, put the kid's brain in the head, the adult, which is a. I think there's a line in the movie. I am both my child and my mother at the same time,
Yep.
and that's a really dark, twisted statement. So, especially because
Yeah.
you've
Well. Yeah.
seen what it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's such an interesting idea. The character of Bella too. As a kid, as a woman,
Mhm.
um, nobody's listening to her. Nobody lets her do anything. Everyone wants to control her. So all that, the ideas are very interesting. Um, yeah, and like I thought that one of the surprising things for me was the Margaret Qualley character, the
Yeah,
second Bella or whatever that they try to get going. I thought that was kind of interesting, and feels like there's just like a spin-off TV show where you just watch God and Max just kind of doing their thing while Bella's away. Getting into hijinks, teaching this girl how to play ball,
if
all that kind of stuff.
if they make a spinoff or something, I'm there. But I think there's only one
Yeah,
book.
yeah. Oh, it's a book.
It's based on a book. I don't know what's
Nice.
different from the book and the movie. I never really looked it up
Hmm.
because I just like the movie
Mm-hmm.
so much. Because I initially wanted to read the book after watching it, but then the more I thought about it, well, I
Hmm.
just like the movie. Let's just leave it at that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the movie is a world all on its own.
Mm-hmm.
There's just so much in it. Um, the acting is just it's very interesting, the different actors and their different roles, and how you have Emma Stone being like the big standout, and like I said, you got Willem Dafoe looking like a creature but acting like a normal scientist, but like hearing his backstory, like that's another thing, like his
Yeah,
backstory that they throw in every once in a while. My dad did this, and I'm okay with it because that's just the way he was a man of science, and then the more you learn about his character and what happened to him when he was a kid, it's like, oh yeah.
it's just tragic. I think the only character that's not really tragic is Max,
Yeah.
because even Mark Ruffalo's character isn't all there.
Nope.
He's got he's an odd guy. But I do love the dance scene and the I want to punch that baby. That scene is magic.
Yeah, like an impromptu dance scene too. Very interesting. Like the music didn't feel like dance music to me. So like, what are they doing? They can't dance to this song, and then they do. So
They do, and it's wonderful.
yeah,
I'm glad you saw it. I was actually expecting you to
I'm
hate it though.
yeah, I'm glad I saw it too. And I don't know, it would have been hard for me to hate this movie just because of the like most of the time if a movie is made very well, that'll do it for me. And like I said, if
Mhm.
the story isn't just quite there, that's totally fine. But like just the craft of the movie is incredible. And seeing more of Emma Stone is something I want to do. Like I really want to try and get to La La Land sometime this week that I haven't seen. Yeah, so like I want to get to more Emma Stone because she's just not someone I think about all the time. Maybe it's because she's so young and she feels like she's been around forever.
She has been around for a while. Like it doesn't really set in until you think about how much she's been in.
Yeah,
like she's even in that movie Gangster Squad.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, she's in a lot of stuff. Even that, I think The House Bunny is one of her first roles. I was on TikTok scrolling, and she was also in some kind of TV series called Drive, which sounds ridiculous. It's about kind of like remember the movie what was it called? Mad Money or something? What was that movie called? Rat Race. Where they have to drive around and do stuff. She was in a show like this called Drive. Yeah, she's been around for a while though.
There you go. This is also the first movie that I watched from the director as well. I can't pronounce his name. Yorgos Lanthimos. They also did The Killing of the Sacred Deer, which I haven't seen. Lobster, which I haven't seen. The Favorite, which I haven't seen. I think you're a fan of The Killing of a Sacred Deer.
Yes, I think that's a great movie.
Okay, so I haven't seen any of those, and they're always ones that have been, or in my head. Obviously, Colin Farrell's in 2 of them. I'm not sure if he's in The Favorite or not.
I don't think he is, but he is in 2 of them. Well, so Sacred Killing of the Sacred Killing of a Deer also has Nicole Kidman and Barry Keoghan.
That's right. Yeah. So I'm going to try and get to those over the next little while. I think from obviously what I've seen with this one, and I think those ones are more serious.
Killing of the Sacred Deer is.
I'm not sure about the Lobster.
Lobster is not. I've seen some clips. That's another Poor Things type movie, and The Favorite is also kind of a quirky tone. I think that the Sacred Deer is the most serious.
Okay.
I think you'll like that one.
Yeah, so I'm going to give those a go because the director seems like he's on the up and up, for sure.
He's on to something.
I think so. Yeah, I think so too. He's got something. I think writer director. If I remember,
I don't know. He might be.
No, he didn't write Poor Things. So
no, but he might have wrote the other ones.
Yeah, let's see if he wrote The Killing of the Sacred Deer. Yes, he did. So he's got that going for him. So yeah, I'm going to check that out because he's somebody. Just the way this movie looked, it feels like I'm going to like some of his other movies. I don't think the style, the colors are going to stay the same throughout, but I just feel like he has a knack for the art of directing.
Yeah, I am a fan, but I want to watch Lobster and Favorite. The 2 movies I've seen, I'm really a big fan of.
Cool.
And I like his cast also. He picks good casts.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that for sure. And one of the movies got Colin Farrell in it, so Colin Farrell's all of a sudden, ever since I watched whatever that one. What did we watch a while ago with him and Brendan Gleeson in it?
Such a good movie. I love that movie.
Yeah, so just more of that, and then you got me to watch In Bruges. So that kind of thing. Just again, understanding that Colin Farrell is more than what Colin Farrell is.
He is more than Minority Report and Daredevil. Exactly. I promise.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to get into those for sure. Yeah. Anything else you want to chat about there, Chris? About Poor Things or Dune Part 2 or anything else?
I love both those films. They are wonderful. And there's a lot of X-Men 97 trailers out there. You guys should check them out. They're also excellent.
Chris will be in the corner looming and watching X-Men 97 very soon.
I'm just going to wait for X-Men 97 while I'm looming.
All right, Chris, let's get out of here then. Hit whoever's watching up with some plugs.
You guys can follow me on Twitter at thatchris70. You can also follow the podcast I do with my buddies Phil Walsh and Anthony Caruso over at DC Unlimited Pod. As always, I would love it if you guys would follow this podcast at G of the Geeks. Emmet is much better with the rest of the plugs, so he will take over.
You can follow me on Twitter at Emmet Davis7. Gathering of the Geeks is available on YouTube. And wherever you get your podcast, just search for Gathering of the Geeks and you'll find us right there. You should definitely listen to the latest DC Unlimited, where Chris is negative and hates everything. It's a really, really fun show. So I want to thank Eric, the two Phils. Thanks for watching, guys. Enjoy the rest of the Oscars. And in saying all that, for Chris and I am Emmet, and we gather on Sundays, except next Sunday when we will not be here.
Which is a great time to watch Leprechaun. Have a good weekend.